Hi, everybody. Welcome to a very interesting episode of Sophia's Emporium today. My name is Suze Pratt. I'll be your holistic stylist today and every day, hopefully. And before we get to going with today's show, I've got a couple quick little announcements. So recently, I was on Elise Diablon's show, and her and Mel and myself did a show on holistic cosmetology. Now, I want to show you how cute what Elise sent me was. And I have to first say that the friends that love me, they know I have no etiquette. So the only way I can really thank somebody is to do it like I'm getting ready to do. So this is a message going out to Elise. I just wanted to thank her for sending me a little gift for being on her show. So you see we've got the stickers on the back side, and this comes from Australia and addressed to my home. So got the little envelope, and you can see it's just so decorated up. Bless her heart. So it says from Elise Diablon, thank you. And she has the different languages, of course. And it says for Suze Pratt of Sophia's Emporium. I was going to open it the other day and do a little video. But then I thought it'd be so much nicer to share it with the whole family at Conscious Consumers Network. Because really, it's to all of us. Okay. There's the picture on the front. And of course, Alicia's business card. And, if you go to the CCN store, you'll surely see Alicia's new line of merchandise that she has available. Of course, a lot of the different broadcasters have their lines, but this is really beautiful. Okay, it says awarded to Suze Pratt for exemplifying the qualities of the title of CCN's show, We Are the Ones We've Been Waiting For. And it says, Dear Suze, thank you so much for coming on to my show to discuss holistic cosmetology. You are such a star. It's an honor being a fellow broadcaster with you and the CCN family, and for doing Journalism Academy with you. I'm looking forward to our blood type show coming up next weekend. Thank you for your wisdom and grace. Love you heaps, darling. Blessings, Elise Diablon. Girl, this is just so sweet. Thank you so much And I'm going to wear my little pin today. Just tuck it in here. And we're good to go. All right. Next order of business. Let me tell you what I did this week. And it was mind-blowing. Okay. One of my friends on Facebook, and she lives here in Ferguson, her name is Andrea Utley Loggins. And she was going to be, of course, on Sophia's Emporium a couple of weeks ago, but she had a urgent need to check out a new house she wanted to buy. So we were going to get her rescheduled. But anyhow, she invited me to this thing called Up to Us Caravan. And so the story goes that there were several buses starting out in different locations, and they're all cruising up to Philly. And we'll talk about that in a while. We're not going to go too far down that road yet. But anyhow, the crew from Los Angeles stopped here in Ferguson. So I contacted them, told them I was with Conscious Consumers Network and I'd like to come, film this and get it out to our global family. And they said, cool, come on over. It was so awesome. And let me just grab my little Sophia here so I can show you guys their Up to Us caravan tour, right? And just to give you an idea, my goodness, of who these guys are. I mean, the singing, the dance, the love, the talk, on and on, but the really, really serious issues too. So one of the people I met, his name is Drew. He's with the people that are working so hard to get this Bridgeton landfill that we've discussed here on the show from not blowing up, because it is on fire. And you wonder, how can you really start to even be safe when you have a nuclear dump down the street that's smoldering? So they're working on it, and it's in Congress right now, and it's already been approved. And I am not saying I'm using the right words, but it's there, it's approved, and now it's in one of those stall positions. And you really don't want something like that being stalled too much, do you? So I wanted to read to you about these people. And we're going to start right here. This is posted yesterday at 12:15. Loved hearing about the great work of the Missouri Accountability Project last night. Please check them out and support them. Missouri Accountability Project, seeking to empower citizens to effectively engage government agencies as advocates for the protection of the environment and public health and safety. We urge EPA and responsible parties of Bridgeton landfill to adequately characterize radiation.
You're gonna house a business and you itemize? It's gonna cost a boat.
Not really. With Tax Act, I lock.
To adequately characterize radiation to expedite an effective isolation barrier while further researching landfill fire remediation technology. We petition Governor Nixon facilitate interagency emergency planning and evacuation by declaring state of emergency for a landfill, not for a military thing, right? We request Congress transfer jurisdiction of Westlake landfill remediation to U.S. Army Corps of Engineers with the aid of formerly utilized sites remediation action program for full removal of radiologically impacted materials, RAM, to a proper containment facility. Now, you know this all goes back to the Manhattan Project. So, bravo to the caravan. And I'll just play you a little, let's see. We'll see if I'll play anything. You can see they're camping out.
It's not like past stability, that stability is grounded and moving in ceremony and truth and source and spirit and love. Is it we unite and stand together? I mean, how amazing is it that we're in Columbus, Ohio right now, a state I've never been to, a city that I've never been to. And we've had speakers up here. We've had somebody talk about Muslims. We have somebody talk about the LGBTQ community. We have people talk about people of color. We have Native American up here singing the indigenous song. Something's different. Something is changing, and it's because of us. None of us in this room are the leader of this movement. None of us in the room are this beautiful outdoor room are the followers in this movement. We're all in it together. It's like geese, right? You got somebody at the top, the second they get a little tired, they're like, no, buddy, I gotta come back here. And the other one's like, I got you, don't worry. And then they just keep switching up. And while they're in the back catching up on rest, they're drafting off of one another. So they're still helping each other out. That's what we gotta be. We gotta be the geese. And we are the geese.
So we have wings.
You know, the DNC Philly tomorrow, we're almost there.
Yeah.
A lot of energy.
I'm telling you, I had such an uplifting night, and I got some incredible footage coming for you guys. So we'll check in on that little movement. But now it's time to get on with the really big shoe today, like they say. So my friend is here, and I'd like to introduce you guys. Are you still here, Melissa?
Yeah, that's
Oh, all right. So I'm going to bring her in. She doesn't want to sleep the floor. We're going to have to stay low when we hug so they can see you. Hi. This is Melissa Holloway. And she is an Intuit and a medium and working with a group of people. So we're going to let Melissa tell you about this. And I do have a method to our madness today. So we're going to do this in the Rudolph Steiner timeline, where we're going to look at what Melissa is doing right now and what is coming up for her in her immediate future. And then we're going to work back so you guys know who this dear woman is to me. We've known each other about 20 years. So like I've told you guys on the show, the way I want to work my program is a strong platform here of on-the-ground people in St. Louis that are making a difference in today's world. And to me, this girl's one of them.
Aw,
You're welcome, you know. So what's going on and what's going on Monday?
Well, actually, tomorrow I'm hitting the road. I'm part of the all-girls paranormal group called Three Girls in the Car. And to be honest, I don't know too much about the location that I'm going to because I prefer it to be that way, so it's a little more organic when I get there. I know that they told me that I'm busy until Tuesday. And I know that it's a salt mine. And it's in Kansas, and it's about 6 hours from St. Louis. But that's all that I really know about the location because I didn't look anything into it. But my position on my team, there's actually more than 3 of us. The name is a little.
You can feel free. I'm good.
The name is a little deceiving. So I am the medium. I am the one who goes in and reads the property, reads the people. We also have like a debunker. We have 2 other people that are sensitives. I would say they're sensitives. I don't know exactly what they call themselves, but one of them does energy cleansings, and they'll cleanse the property after spirit tells me the way that it should be cleansed or how it should be cleansed. And they also go out there and intuitiveness. Is that a word?
Yes.
Intuitiveness.
It is. It's a difficult word to say.
It's a hard word.
Right.
And and then we also have researchers, we have case managers. So we're just a big group, and I know that there doesn't need to be proof of the critical.
No.
But a lot of people in the masses, they need some sort of proof. And so our team, we don't only get proof, but we help people. We do a lot of residential cases, and we like to be able to give people peace.
Well, and you know, the name of this group is Three Girls in the Dark. And that's a little deceiving because really there's a big group.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you go in first, right? All by yourself.
They follow me usually. Usually the people at base camp, because they set up all their cameras and equipment.
Right.
Usually there is someone with me because it's entertaining. Not just entertaining, but it also gives them validation from what they felt in different spaces. And it's nice to have that confirmation of spirit to know that, yes, I felt something when I was standing right there, and Melissa's now telling me that there is something right there. So there's that dynamic, but my favorite part of the job is when we help people, when we give them peace, when they have some sort of evidence.
Right. Something to give them hope.
Yeah.
And do you find that a lot of the people you deal with are focused on lifting the veil and what's on the other side? Or do you think that they're more the type of people that believe that this is the only lifetime they have, and then the rest of the time they're not ever going to have a form again?
All of the above. I do find that a lot of people that spirit brings to me, a lot of them are denial. A lot of them have had experiences, a lot of them feel things, a lot of them just choose to believe that things are real. And then when I confirm something that has happened or that they felt, it opens them up. I've had a lot of reoccurring people come back to me that I never would have thought would be open.
That's cool. That's really awesome.
I like that part.
Well, and I notice people love you on Facebook. The people that are committed to you always have kind things to say. I mean, it's pretty evident.
Well, I really try to live my life in the right light. And I worked really hard in my life to surround myself with good people.
Right.
And I put out in the universe that I want that sort of love and attraction back. And the universe has been good to me.
All right. On one of the shows, I made a statement about my own self, and you know me well. And you have carte blanche to say whatever that you want to say. And whatever comes in is fine. I stand in my truth. But I got a little off track. Do you know where I was going?
You were going with, well, what we were just talking about putting out in the universe.
Other tax filing systems like H&R Block and TurboTax say they're free. They just upsell you left and right.
Classic bait and switch.
Exactly. But with Tax Act, I can see all the prices right here.
Oh, so you hacked in?
No.
Can you see?
Putting out in the universe what we want back from the universe.
Okay.
And then
Well, here, I guess where I was going was this. Is when we realize how expansive this phenomenon is becoming and how much our lives are changing. How much does our past prejudices and programming play into what is going on? Because the one thing that we're both here to do and are committed to, and I know we've had a couple of conversations about this, is being able to look at whatever subject it is that's dark and call it out and call it beautiful. So if someone has had some kind of a traumatic experience or even just through their lifetime has come to believe a certain thing, and that trigger happens, how do you best help that person? And it's great that you see them on a semi-regular basis.
Well, sometimes it gets really deep. And sometimes it's as much as me like crying with them. And it happens. Like I'll get this wave of emotion over me, or a lot of times I have to put my hands on someone when I'm reading them and it gets really intense. I do, however, ask my guides to, I wouldn't say sugarcoat things, but say things in a way where it doesn't devastate someone or embarrass them. You know, because a lot of things that come up are really private. And there's things that we bury so deep inside of us. And then also, it happens to me that sometimes it interlinks with things that have happened to me or that I've seen in my own life. And you know, as healers, which I consider still healers, white light workers, and I call myself, we go through the ringer. You know, it's not an easy journey. It's always rough. And it takes us until we really get into like our adulthood and our forgiveness and our bringing things to the surface. That's when we really get to help other people. And I think that before I got to where I'm at right now, I spent several years really dealing with stuff. And I think it has helped me help other people.
I think one of the things that is most difficult about it too when you're making this journey is the idea that, I mean, I'm not perfect, and I have unwillingly offended people that I love very much just by going forward on this journey. So I think everybody can understand that, but I love that word Savon uses called understanding. So they're actually taking it into their heart brain and not standing under things anymore. And then, of course, there's the people that say they stand over it and overstand it, and they have mastered that particular leg of the journey, but we're always going to keep learning and growing, otherwise it's all over.
Yeah, and I think like sometimes my personality, I'm very much a go-getter. Sometimes I'm so into the moment,
Right.
and it's still a work in progress. but you know, like looking back, but I think that when I'm reading someone, Spirit allows me to get into their moment. Yes, you know, where it's not all about me, and that has been a life lesson of my own. And so I really find that when I touch these difficult subjects with people, because it isn't all like, a lot of times it is like, you know, where Spirit is coming through and they love you and they miss you and those sort of things. But a lot of times they want to talk about those pains that we never settled or things that we're going through here on earth, and it's a lot of times really difficult. And there's happy tears, tears of confirmation, there's sad tears, there's guilt tears. But I think Spirit does allow me to stay on a level playing field when I say I'm working, but that's probably not the best word to use. But it's my light, you know, my white light working.
You're in the service.
Yeah.
So, you know, really, let's just let everybody know. What age are you currently?
I'm 31.
Bless your heart. and so, of course, we have the new and these younger people like yourself coming up, and you know, back in the day when life charting was first imagined and spoken about, they would connect certain ages with certain things. So, for example, back in ancient times, theoretically, until you reached an age of wisdom, which is 35, they didn't ask you to come speak out loud at the powwow. But since there really is no time, and age is just an illusion, it's a way that they shove people into a box and say, okay, at 31, you should only be able to know X, Y, and Z. obviously that's not your experience. And so everyone's experience is different. And when I look at my own life charting, I realize that there were obstacles and hurdles that I overcame at a younger time than the theoretical age that it should have been. So anyhow, you're 31 now. And when did you hook up with the Three Girls in the Dark? How far does that go
It's
back?
only been like right in here. It was crazy how it happened.
Okay, tell us that story.
So my mother owns a restaurant in Central Missouri. We live in the city of St. Louis, basically. So she's kind of out in the middle of nowhere. And I was really going through a rough time last year, and my mom was like, will you come out, because I'm double booked, and will you sell food for me at this bar that was having like an outdoor event, because she had booked this gig.
Okay.
And I'm like, I don't want to go. I don't want to go. So I ended up going. Kind of crazy story. So anyways, I ended up going, and I was miserable all day. It was hot. I was just depressed. I wasn't in a good place, and food wasn't selling. I wasn't busy. So anyways, I decided I would stay so I could try to make her some money. I had met this white rapper, and I kind of thought he was a goofball, just first impression. But I read him on the spot. It just like organically happened, and he looks at me and he goes, I need a medium. I go, no one says they need a medium. What do you mean you need a medium? Who needs a medium? You know?
Right.
So I get on my card, I'm like, whatever. Ended up, I'm not going to blast my brother's business, but ended up getting in a little trouble, and I tried to take up for him, and then I got in a little trouble, and I was so mad at this situation that occurred this evening. After I meet these guys, and I'm just disappointed in myself. I really pride myself in being a mother, and I stand-up person in society, and I just really was just mad at the whole situation. I was so angry, right? So I'm dealing with all this. Monday morning, I get an email from Emily. She said she wants to talk to me pretty soon, and she got my number from his name's Chris, but he goes by lowercase, and I'm like, really? This is really? So I called her and immediately hit it off on the phone. We were just gonna have a phone conversation. I started reading her. She was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Then I read all the other girls on the team, and then they had me meet them at a restaurant, and they brought someone else in that's not like on social media that I have no ties to, and then I read her. They must have still liked me. And then
They were really checking you out. They wanted to make sure
they
you
were grilling me.
right.
Because apparently they had some bad experiences, and they weren't even sure if they wanted a medium on the team. But they were into some professional stuff, and people were telling them they needed medium, but they weren't really buying it. So then I had my brother drive, because sometimes before I go on location, I start picking things up. And, you gotta focus on driving. I never know where I'm going. So my brother, and he's really intuitive as well. So I had my brother drive me, and they take us all over the place. And we get to this building, and it was funny because my brother and I are in the car, and I'm going, I think the building's blue. He goes, or I think it's gray. He goes, I think it's blue and white. We pull up, one side of it's finished, one's not. It's like blue and gray. Like we both saw the different sides of the building.
Right.
So I read the property. I love the woman who, she doesn't own the property. It's Morris Mill. It's like a haunted hotel, and I guess down 30. So
Okay.
south of
Right.
us.
All right.
And we hit it off immediately. I read the property. The girls were like, it worked, you made somebody cry. And I'm like, I don't want to make people cry. I don't want to have that responsibility. But since then, she has had me do readings for her and at parties, and we've formed a kinship. But I guess they called and they asked if I would be part of the team. And since then, we've had this crazy roller coaster, and there's things I can't talk about just because they're happening right now. But I really feel like big things are happening. And I also, immediately when I was with these women, it was just a fit. And they said they couldn't believe because they're about my age, you know, they couldn't believe that a medium looked like me. They expected a medium to be.
I said, what are you supposed to look like, Melissa?
Yeah, well, because they said that the other people like they had interviewed, just they were really looking for a medium. You know, they were like these over the top women, or they just it didn't work in there. And you know, and the thing because they're waiting for me, obviously.
Well, that has to be the answer because I mean,
What does a medium look like?
well, and what does a person that does paranormal investigation look like?
Well, I will say, I don't know really into that, but I will say that when I go do readings, a lot of people are surprised by me. They expect me to be much older. They expect me to think, I don't know. But I get that all the time. You're not what we expected.
Well, with that being said, then why don't we roll the video of you in action that I've got, and people can see what it looks like. Because let me give you the setup to this. So this is wild, okay? We were chit chatting on Facebook, and all of a sudden, go ahead. I mean, I come into the story. Do you want to?
Oh, so Gina, who's, we call her Dad on the team, Gina gives me a referral to this woman named Carrie. Gives me a referral, and I'm like going back and forth with her, you know, just my normal setting up time doing business. And 2 days later, something she texts me, how do you know Suze Pratt? And I'm like, how do you know Suze Pratt? That was the conversation. I'm like, what kind of question is that?
Right.
Because, and then you can go how you know her.
All right. So, you know,
The New York Times calls monster trucks a spry, spirited, and delightful family film.
You know her.
all right. So, you know, of course, the hair Emporium spanned a 30-year time where, of course, I made a lot of close connections. And Carrie, that runs Blades, back in the day, had come to me right out of beauty school. And here's what's even wilder when we look at synchronicities coming in. Carrie and your best friend's older sister, Sunday,
Yes, she told me.
started at the very same time at the hair Emporium
Wow.
as students, both right out of beauty school. And you know that, of course, I mean, I have no idea what you remember from me when you were younger and when you kids, you know, I put it like that, but when you kids were growing up. So I trained a lot of girls, and especially when you have two girls in training together, oh, it can be tough, you know, what happens in that play. And so that became a long struggle with us as a 3-pack of chicks, you know.
Yeah.
Right. And then back in, well, okay, so Lauren was in my belly, and you know, we had gotten that crazy second salon down in Crestwood. And my ex had told the girls they were all going to be wealthy and they could buy into this salon, which was not the case. And, you know, everybody broke up, but there was 5 of us pregnant at one time.
Wow.
And they all,
Estrogen.
well, and they all took off and didn't tell me. So, you know, like when people wonder why do you have, say, love-hate relationships, sometimes it's just because people are too much alike and they want the same thing and they think that only one person can have that thing, and it all falls to shit, you know?
Yes.
Right. So over the years, because really I don't own anybody, I couldn't make those girls stay. They're independent contractors. I mean,
Yeah.
I want everybody to,
Business.
right, I want everybody to learn and grow and be free. that's how I know Carrie and the girls at Blades.
I will say that Gina told me that Carrie credited for teaching her how to do color because Gina always has great color and always crazy colors in her hair and
Right.
it always looks good. And she said that Carrie had told her that. It was crazy, spirit connection, and it was a big turnout. There was a lot of people that I read that day, and more people just kept coming in. I was like, where are all these people coming from?
And it's a small salon, so it's not like you can really you have little nooks to get off in. What Melissa did was read a group together, and this group, and granted, I mean, they're very good friends and they're family and extended by cousins and everything, right?
I assume.
Yeah, so pretty much there aren't any secrets, and that's one thing that I always try to let people know. There's no secrets when we're dealing with spirit.
It's not, and that's why I said that I appreciate that spirit sometimes sugarcoats stuff for me.
Me too.
Because there's stuff, because I sometimes have trouble with my filter,
Me too.
so at least they help me out a little with that. But when you were talking about the synchronicity, Susie and I had a conversation that I find the irony of where the concentration of where I have been working the most is. Okay. I am not from Ferguson, Porcelain. I live the whole other side of town.
Right on the south side of St. Louis.
Yeah, and this is the north side.
Right.
My best friend, we are soul sisters. We live our lives intertwined. I'm her children's godmother. She's my children's godmother. We are meant to walk a parallel existence.
Right.
And her older sister was
Sunday,
who Suze is talking about.
Right.
We would come out here, and then we got to know Chelsea because we would.
Don't go there.
Okay. Well, hold on. This is. We can wait on that. All I want to say was that the concentration of people that need to be touched by spirit that randomly call me from this area, and there's like 2 other areas specifically where from the outsider looking in, you would think that these people would be so close-minded. And even when I tell people, I was just at a reading the other day, it was in an area called Pacific. Yep. And I said, it's crazy. They're like, oh, we're sorry we had to bring you out here. I go, I'm out here all the time. Their jaws hit the floor. They could not believe that I do so many readings in these areas. And the concentration of energy in these spaces is so strong.
Right. And
it's still a wonder to me. I'm still figuring it out. But it's so intense in these places. That's where it keeps bringing it to.
Absolutely. And in St. Germain's book on alchemy that was written by Elizabeth Fair Prophet, they actually do say that this area sits on the 3rd cosmic ray, which is why I say that on the shows. And it's unconditional love, and the angels are Shamuel and Charity. But that, of course, too, excuse me, we have the group karma and all the offenses that have happened to the people that come before us. And we're in the divided state of Missouri, just like where you and I come from. They made a line, and on one line, slavery was legal, and on the other side, it wasn't. Right. So what we're trying to do here in St. Louis on the ground is bring people together from the greater metro St. Louis area and beyond that can be part of this movement here on the ground and help heal the people, because I think one of the reasons that it's so tough here too is because socioeconomically speaking, Missouri is not a high roller town. Right, and more that people are struggling without money.
And contemplation spirit, before you started talking, I was going to say, what was going to come out of my mouth was, these people are not anywhere close to wealthy people.
Right.
They are hardworking people. They're people that are going through it. And that's why don't like to charge a lot for what I'm doing.
Right.
Because I know that these people are the ones that need it.
Right.
You know, and a lot of people say to me, you should be doing this, this, and this for this much money. And I'm like, these are the people that need to hear from me, though.
So I'm always recommending YouTubes to people and stuff, but there's this guy named Zachary James, and he's the head hat at this order of merchants on YouTube, and they just made a really cool YouTube on it. You might want to check out.
Oh, that's good for sure.
Yeah, it's really cool. But for now, let's show everybody what you did at Blades. All right, baby, we're ready to roll it when you are. Namaste, friends. It's me, Suze, Holistic Stylist, here with my dear friend Melissa. And she just got done doing a great reading for a group here at Blades Salon in Morrison, Missouri. So I wanted to take a moment to introduce Melissa and let her tell you a little bit about what she does.
Hi, I'm Melissa Holloway. I'm a medium, but I really like to consider myself a light worker because I read energy. I read people, places, things, anything that has any imprint. I am the channel for Spirit. I'll be last if I'm psychic, and though I only get what Spirit gives me. So I am the antenna that's able to relay messages, and I hope that it's healing for people to talk to loved ones that have crossed over, but also a lot of times the readings are about what they need to hear and about them and their own spiritual growth.
Well, you know, Melissa, inside, it was really beautiful to watch people's hearts and minds be changed. And sometimes at first, it might seem like an entertainment issue or something to do in your spare time. But I know that you know that this is a dedication in so many ways to life and a continuance of love.
Yes.
You're right. And I really think that you brought something very special to the young girl that's getting ready to turn 21.
Yeah, you know, there was 2 young girls, and one of them was before you got there.
Mm-hmm.
And both of them, the message, and it wasn't even so much a spirit saying, hi, this is who I am. It was like, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of the group that you're becoming and the things that you're doing. And sometimes you don't get to hear that. And I could tell that it really touched both of them. And sometimes, you know, like I come from a family of metaphysical people, so I didn't have to go search for someone to teach me. And so it's really, you know, it's uplifting when you could tell that you taught someone. One of them even had a physical reaction to an energy, and it might never have happened to her before. So it was kind of cool to be in that moment. And, you know, like I was telling Susie before, there could be all these different people in one room. But even if you touch one person, then it was like that.
Always. If you don't mind, let me ask you a personal question, Melissa.
Sure.
I know that you've been touched by spirit forever. I remember when you were just a little girl. So do you have an early childhood memory that you'd like to share about that whole connection to spirit?
Sure. My mother said that at 2 years old that I was talking to her friend who we had bought the house from the family of the friend, and he
Other tax filing systems like H&R Block and TurboTax say they're free. They just upsell you left and right.
Classic bait and switch.
Exactly. But with TaxAct, I can see all the prices right here.
Oh, so you hacked in.
No.
Can you see into mine?
Ridiculous.
You can see into
amount of
yours.
Ads CCM through on there.
bought the house from the family of the friend, and he OD'd in the garage, and I used to just talk to him all the time. Now, I don't remember that, but the first time that I really, 2 things. The first, I guess I was about like 6 or 7, I always saw a woman standing looking at me in my grandmother's bathtub. So I'd go to the bathroom with my eyes closed.
Right.
And then I saw a little boy who looked just like one of my younger brothers, Ethan, and he was admiring our Christmas tree, but I looked at his face and I knew that he was not from this world. And he was like, he had my brother's clothes on though. And the interesting thing about that is we would see my brother playing with this little boy and he called him Timothy. So it was like a spirit guide to him. And another thing that it taught me was that little kids they see spirit guides that look like them and wear their own clothes so they're not afraid. I mean, a child likes their own reflection better than they like anything.
Right.
So their guides come to them that way in the forms of what imaginary friends.
Do you think that's similar, Melissa, to everyone having a different visual or mental interpretation of Creator God, or say,
Yes.
right, like
Yes.
everyone's own personal Jesus could be any different color or be female or
Yes, and you know, I actually have this conversation with people a lot because a lot of times I'll be like, you need whatever your ritual is, you need to do it to protect yourself before you go do this, right? Like that comes up a lot. And I'm like, I don't care what it is. It's just your perception. Now, I was raised by a lot of Catholic women. Right? So even though we're metaphysical, I'll bring my rosary when I go places. And it's not because I push that on people. Like, I don't care if you're Buddhist or Hindu or Muslim or Jewish, whatever. But it's about what you intend and what you believe.
I want to jump in and say confirmation of spirit real quick. Yesterday on the show, I ran an episode of Farm Church, and so a lot of people in this movement, of course, don't worship in buildings that have been built on sacred spaces or things like that. And we know that the body is our temple, and outside in nature is where we commune with Mother and Father God. So yesterday for my show, I wore a big 7-foot Greek Orthodox rosary. And you know that
I've seen that at your house.
Yeah,
I love it. I complimented it.
Yeah. Right. You know that that necklace weighs about 20 pounds. But you know, I had to explain to the viewers that of course I was raised by a pack of wolves. So I didn't choose a religion for myself until I was 12, but never had it been Catholic. Now, I still feel like it was absolutely fine for me to wear that, even though I didn't belong to the club.
Well, you've also been Catholic before.
Exactly.
It's not the first life that you've been, and so that's why we also relate. And you know, people are like, sometimes I'll tell someone when they're cleansing a space, you need a priest, or you need a shaman, or whatever spirit tells me that they need to cleanse the space.
Right.
Well, why would you need a priest? I go, you know how many people have been saying those Latin words for how long they've been saying that Latin words?
Spellcasting, my friend.
Yeah, it's the exact same thing.
Yes.
It's just doing it with positive white light intention is the only difference. And so it's you know, when we get together, it's crazy because we both have these conversations with other people, and we get together, we're like, yes, that makes sense.
Right. And I look so forward to our time together. So that is 2 Saturdays from now. Do you know the date by offhand?
I think July the 23rd.
That is
22nd, right?
So exciting.
Whatever the Saturday is, the 22nd or the 23rd.
Right. I get a little confused on dates and times. I've been.
Good thing I have a calendar. Me too.
Bless your heart, girl. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to spend with me. I know you have to get home to your man and to your babies.
I do.
Right. And I'm just so proud of you, Melissa, seeing you all
I'm
grown
proud of
up.
you too.
Well,
Because
we
we're
got,
spreading the word of the light.
yes, and we've got a long, happy road together. So
Me too.
I'll say namaste for now.
Namaste.
And I'll see you on the other side, my friend.
That's right. The guy that's talking about sex. They don't care. I'm not trying to. I'm not trying to. The man that was talking to you, I can't see him though, but then this other guy is here. Maybe he's gonna come to last. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes they get in bits and pieces. They come out last. Did you hide something? Because you were trying to
Did you like bring something with you?
Yeah.
Because you wanted me to bring it up?
I'm not supposed to do that.
Did you do that? You totally did that, right? Because that's what you told me to say to you.
You got busted.
To see my grandma's did you?
Your dad. Yeah.
But there's something that you brought with you. And so I don't know how it connects, but apparently this person knows about it. So we'll see if they decide to say more stuff. But that's what I totally tell you. I guess I gotta keep your attention. Do you have a real short attention span?
She does.
Okay, because I keep my phone. Yeah, but I can have it and I give her all of it. Apparently you need to listen to stuff that comes out of this mouth. I don't know. Yes. You know, sometimes I'll be talking to someone else and like how you were crying and I wasn't talking directly to you. It's because it's a physical reaction to the image. And it's a confirmation. Like you got the wave, I'll get goosebumps. Even sometimes when I'm reading someone and like they'll get emotional, like I'll start to get emotional too. It's like a physical reaction. Yeah. And you know, sometimes like I've helped spirits cross over before. And I'll be like physically shaking. I'll have to go outside and like take deep breaths and walk around and ground myself. Because I like literally will have a full body physical reaction. And you are going to be capable of doing those things. You'll learn about it. After you have children, it'll really open up for you. After you have children. It'll maybe be about 4 to 5 years difference.
How old is it?
It's all happening. It'll all happen in due time. All right, sister. Let's see if I can. I'm killing her over here. Cracks me up. Oh my God, my head gets pain in my side. Oh God. Who had the pain inside bad? I don't like when they try to make me feel how they felt. It's in here, deep. Feel nauseous, something with the organs.
No, I say something.
Yeah. Yeah. Is this you? You have pain right here? Right now? No. Oh, you little empath. You little empath, yeah. Everyone keeps stealing her readings. She's getting so mad. I'm joking. I'm joking. Oh. I'm going to say you wouldn't have said anything if you didn't think that's what it was. You know how my work works? You know how this works, this whole thing? It's pretty personal. I want to break it down for you. If you think it, then it isn't. If I didn't totally go off my gut instinct, I could never read anyone. Because that's how I read. I get it right here, and I'm like, okay, I feel it. That's what it is, and that's what it is. And when I quit being scared to open my mouth, I feel like, I think the spirit is for you. And when I second guess myself, my reading's good as shit. And you're psychic like that. You're good. You're gonna be good. Well, Susie, your aunt's here.
Awesome.
Is it the same aunt? Or is it with her? Bring over red lipstick. Smoke cigarettes and drink. We're looking for a woman that takes after an hour.
So you know.
And I get that time period like between the 30s and the 50s.
Okay, well, my mom was an only child, and so my grandmother had a sister, if we're talking about a great aunt, and then my dad. Okay.
You know the ribbon? This aunt? That's she just, she told me to before her time. She'll need her to be a cigarette, like this. She has double love before she calmed down. And she just gives me so much love.
Now, hang on. We do have a mystery sister of Graham, someone that nobody ever talked about in the family. So,
I don't know. All I know is this woman has been here and belongs to nobody, obviously. And the reason why she comes up is because she's a guide. She's a spirit guide. And
I know all my
spiritual,
kids.
because she kept showing me when I do a group reading, sometimes no one gets a message. But sometimes what I told someone else means something to you. And that's kind of how it works. I could sit here and bullshit you and tell you that I feel this person, but I don't. And I'm not going to want to. Because then I get stronger. That's just kind of how it works. So I'm feeling that I'm kind of getting drained, and so I'm sorry. But you hope you still enjoyed yourself. I tortured you before. I hope you guys like it. And thank you for having me. Thank you. We want them.
It was great.
Good, thank you. Okay. good. I'm just gonna grab some little bites of snacks.
Alrighty then. I hope you guys enjoyed that. We're gonna pick back up with Melissa's interview and explore these years of adulthood, say, around 21, because nothing can ever be that tight to where we can say we're not gonna include a few years before that, up through when you started this journey and stepping out in public and serving as a medium and a side of things. So, you have 2 kids, Melissa? Well, let's go ahead and talk about kids.
So I have 2 children, 11 and 3, Maya and Micah. My pride and joys.
Yes.
And I guess we start with Maya. Yeah, because she's the first. I had went through a roller coaster of rough teenage years, like most intuitive women.
Yes.
We try to save people that can't be saved and try to figure it out ourselves. And I had lost someone that was close to me, and it was a young person. His name was Jason. He's probably around me right now, because he loves to be the mix of what I'm doing. And it was just devastating to me, and I went into not the best place. I was really not in a positive white light, and I was never doing dark things. I always knew that the light of God, or whatever you want to call it, overshadows the dark, but I just wasn't in a good place, and I quickly met a negative man, and I got pregnant. Well, like maybe the second time, very fast.
Right.
And I was very ill with my daughter. I lost like 25 pounds.
My name is Jenny Doan, and I'm a quilter, and I'm a mother, and I'm a grandmother. 2008 was when all the markets crashed. We lost our retirement. Hamilton was losing hope, and my husband and I were losing.
I lost like 25 pounds. I was just deathly sick with it. And going through all this emotional stuff.
No, you don't get a euro. All the
when
commercials and euros, ridiculous.
Give birth, I thought everything was fine. A million people rush into the room. Every intern, anybody in the hospital, and my mom's face drops completely and turns white. I'm like, what's going on? Because my baby looks fine. She's totally healthy and fine, and everyone's holding her. You would know if something's wrong with the baby, right? And they're playing with my placenta, not to be too graphic, right? But I had a type of placenta previa where the umbilical cord grows around the placenta in the size of blood vessels about as big as your thumb. Wow. So if I wouldn't have been stubborn and waited all day, and my water broke, I wasn't supposed to. I waited to the hospital. And
I never knew any of this stuff.
Well, Spirit's just bringing stuff up because it might mean something to somebody else.
Yeah, it does. Go ahead.
And apparently, if I would have went to the hospital and they would have broken my water, that I would have only had a 10% chance of living, and my would have hemorrhaged and died immediately. And there would have been no anything to save us. And so all these people are in my hospital room, my delivery room, because they're in awe that we're alive. My doctor had never seen this before, and he probably was in his 60s. Wow. So at that moment, when I realized all this, I, for one, was thankful to be alive, and thankful for my child to be alive, but also knew that at that point, I'm supposed to be here, and she's supposed to be here.
Absolutely.
So me and Maya had real rocky, young mother, but I always thought that I was grown. So I had my own space and just working really hard, and I never lost my identity as a woman. Right. But I know that, I was being a mother. My job was to raise her and keep her healthy. But the thing about Maya is that she's an endocrine child. I'm sure a lot of you know what that is, but just really quickly, they are special souls that were left in the great space of spirit. And right now, the world is in such turmoil that they are coming back to keep the balance of good and evil. Is that how you would explain it really quickly?
Yeah, and to add to that, because of course, just like right now, I'm 52, and I say, well, you know, I had been young all my life. Okay, so they would say that the original first waves of indigo children were actually coming in as early as the 60s.
Oh, I believe that.
Absolutely. And sometimes people think when a statement's said, it's some kind of flippant magic trick where it goes poof.
Yeah.
And they're all thrown down at once, which.
But it's spurt because there's this think about what is it, a scale. Yeah. Evil, good. You gotta keep the balance. And like that's what's happening. So Maya, here I am growing as a woman and living in a home with this vibrating high frequency psychic medium, whatever you want to call her, child. Very sensitive. She never really spoke to people when she was young. She looked directly at people's souls. Now I am a busybody and I have to work on myself to always stay grounded. Maya is like an exceptionally grounded person. So it was almost like having a grounding stone wherever I was, but as my child.
That's cool.
Yeah, because I always say she saved my life.
Right.
Because she did. She brought me back to reality. So here I am growing with Maya and get into a long relationship with the man when Maya was 2 years old. So he is Maya's father figure. And it was up and down and rocky because both of us had a lot of healing to do from our childhood. But there has been a lot of healing in both of us since it's happened.
Right.
So ironically, we break up. I say I'm done with this kid. I'm completely done with him. I really was. I slept with him one time, December the 10th, and got pregnant with my son, Micah. I always say that he trapped me. As a joke. And this is after 6 years of sleeping with this man. With really not, in a committed relationship. And not getting pregnant. I had given up hope of having more children because I had some female problems. You really want a baby when your kids are like 4 and they're not babies anymore.
Right.
Like I was past it. And I was like, okay, it's me and Maya. And Maya kept saying to me, Mom, I'm having a brother. You're giving me a brother. My uncle, who was in recovery and was really getting back to his life, met this wonderful woman who had 3 children. And he fell in love with the baby. And they built this life together, and they're still going through adoption stuff, but that's another day. But me and my uncle were always really close. We lived together. I have a big family. We're always randomly living with each other. Right. And, so I'm around him in my childhood. He finds this little boy who just he has to be part of our family. Him and Maya, fall in love. Not in a romantic sense, but he follows Maya around like a puppy dog. He just loves her. And when she met him, she kept telling me, Mama, you're going to have a baby boy. And I'm like, yeah, stop saying it. I'm working and I can't get pregnant right now. And lo and behold, I get pregnant. Both my children I knew I was pregnant immediately with them. Before the test would even show, I knew because I felt their souls around me. I knew Maya was a girl. I knew Micah was a boy. Even when people tried to tell me it was different. My son is a warrior. He has lived many lives as a warrior. He's here to serve and protect. Today he told me he was going to be a police officer. Me and Mike go, oh my God, we don't know about that. But I know he's going to
in the new world.
But he's going to be, I don't know. He said he's going to be a police officer, a fireman, or in the military, and I believe it, even though it breaks my heart, but that's his soul's life. I can't control that. Anyway, so I get pregnant with my son. First, I was worried. I'm working. All of a sudden, everything played into place. Mike bought us a house. The business that I work for now 13 years, I've been a bartender, but I work for a very good Italian family. This business has been in business since 1960 or since 1951.
You can throw their name out.
Columbus. They're a great family, and they love me, and I love them, and they watched me grow up. So they took care of me when I was pregnant with Micah, between Mike taking care of me. It was just this great time in my life. I started really doing yoga, and I got so psychic.
Right.
I mean,
what age are you at?
27.
Okay.
This is 27. And it was just crazy. And I'm seeing stuff and dreaming. And I also got really psychic when I was pregnant with Maya, too. But in my pregnancies, it was just like messages, bam, 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 and almost uncontrollable.
Now let me jump in real quick.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so the way I remember it, because there was so much going on, you and your best friend, Candace, were pregnant really close to the same time, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I get pregnant with Maya. Candace calls me crying. She's pregnant a month and a half later. Also our soul sister, Crystal,
yes,
Candace's sister,
yes,
gets pregnant like 3 weeks after Candace.
Right.
That was a hard conversation with Candy. All of us had to tell her at the same time. Oh, Big Mama, she's the same.
Right.
But that's how it played out. And Maya came 3 weeks early, very dangerously. Holly came over a month early, spent several weeks in the NICU, and Kyan had extensive medical problems, and he is a miracle child. So all of these special children came in for us at the exact same time.
And grounded your whole spiritual family that you both.
Oh yeah, we're families. Like it's not a blood thing. This is a soul thing, and we are all meant to be together. In fact, we all like cry when we're with each other, and not even a sad cry. Like we'll talk about stuff because our bond is meant to be.
Exactly.
And that's how Susie comes in, from Candace and Crystal, and this whole connection.
Right.
And Chelsea.
Oh, and let's jump into that real quick, just so I can tag into that.
Yeah.
So my oldest daughter, I have discussed her on the program, and you know, it's never a nice, happy subject that makes people smile. But you know, when I gave birth to her, it was a very difficult birth, and the cord was wrapped around her neck, and I was stubborn like you as a young mother. I knew my water had broke, but I didn't really believe it because it wasn't
a gush,
right? It was just wet, you know.
We were wet at that time anyways, at the end.
Exactly.
Any mom knows that.
Exactly. So by the time I got there, yeah, I was immediately put into the emergency state, and they got me ready for a C-section. Now, something that I've shared on the show, and this goes into Chelsea's background, and you're aware of this, is that my daughter didn't really feel like she wanted to come here to live a human life and was forced. And I find that interesting. Well, and of course, Chelsea used to talk to Joe and I all the time and say, you know, do you guys feel like that? And we're like, no, we know. We signed up and wanted to come here, honey. We don't feel that way.
Yeah.
We don't feel that way, right? But I've, you know, asked the question to myself, Melissa, is it possible that that's why she chose someone like us that potentially could have not brought her in safely for one reason or another? Because, you know,
Valid point.
right, her father at first wanted me to terminate. I chose not to. And we do know that.
Same thing happened with Maya.
Yeah. And
People tried to pay me off to get me to terminate Maya.
Right, and we know that everything we feel and everything we experience, when we're carrying the baby feels. And so here comes more guilt. because from the go, we didn't do it the right way. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't one of those fairy tale pictures. Yeah. And I think one of the reasons that I'm here today to do this job is because I did have such a tough time coming up and the things I learned along the way. And that's why I had to confess to the world, you know, I'm not perfect by any stretch. And they kind of recruited me to tell my story. And they say, who are they? So
I like this conversation because so often when I'm being interviewed, especially with my team, when I'm interviewed by my clients, I don't get to talk about like depth of how I got here. So I'm really thankful, Suze, that you're allowing this to happen because it's not only healing for me, but when you talk about Chelsea, I know that your following knows about her, so I'm just going to talk about it from my perspective. Okay. I do harvest guilt about what happened with Chelsea, only because I'm her friend, and I still in my heart am. And I don't give up on people, and I send her loving light so much. We have all these, especially spiritual women, really doing it. And I know she's going to come home. I do know this, and I get emotional about it sometimes when I'm with you because I foresee this already happening. And I know that as a mother, I talk about it all the time with my friends. This mom guilt is ridiculous. And every child gets stronger, doesn't it? I couldn't imagine the moms with like 10 kids. You know, like, how can they spread that soul so many different directions? But
how can they love enough and love themselves enough and then turn around and love everybody else enough?
I know, because they're special people. They have to be. I don't even know how else to say it, but I really have faith, and I'm just putting in the universe. I know, because I've seen it. I've seen it in my eyes. I've seen the way she comes to the door. I know how it's going to happen. I don't know the timeline, because we're not supposed to about it. I've seen several times, like when you did my hair, her like showing up with a bag, and at first I think she's like by herself to come talk to you. I see her. I've seen her in front of your front door because you're not leaving the space.
Right.
And there will be a time, but she will. I feel like will first come along. She, yes, believed that she should be something else. But now what has happened is she's fusing other lives together because she's had her own children. And she's one of those people now that feels stuck with the children, you know, did not create her own individualism. Yeah. But it will happen. Because even though she might feel like she signed on to be something else, she was supposed to be born to you. She picked you. She picked her siblings. I believe that. She cannot not stay away from her brother for too long. Because their bond, she is still human and still does have this white light in her. And there's a very special bond between her and her brother. Right. And so she feels him even when she's not with him. And she is very intuitive.
Oh, yeah.
She is so intuitive.
She's very powerful.
She is very powerful. But she's got herself now in a little bit of a sinkhole with people who are not in the most positive white light.
Right.
But I firmly believe in my soul that there is healing that will happen. But on another note, we put things in the universe because we believe them to be true. We believe them to be healing. We believe them to change and help people. And from the moment I met Chelsea, I loved her. That's just how it was. I loved you guys. You know, it wasn't like it didn't have to be forced. I loved Candace. I loved it. I loved you guys. And like my best friend, she can't even hardly talk about it. Candace. Oh yeah, because she loves Chelsea so much. But we, the three of us collectively, I truly feel like there will be a change that happens. And then one day we'll get to share with you guys. And it'll be beautiful.
And you'll get to meet my grandbabies and my oldest daughter. we will welcome her. But, you know, sometimes, Melissa, people perceive me as being cold because I didn't break down and I went on the thing after that happened to me.
Well, it was a death.
It really was.
It was a death. It's like, just like a bad breakup. It's a death of your life. You had to keep going or you couldn't save her. And that's what's going to happen. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
Other tax filing systems like H&R Block and TurboTax say they're free. They just upsell you left and right. Clap.
Come on, take us back to the show. What's up with all that? Gotta love having to record your own shows because somebody's messing with you. And then look, getting messed with.
and like my best friend, she came and had to talk about it.
Candace.
Oh yeah, because she loves Chelsea so much.
But
we,
backtrack a little, it's all
the
right.
three of us collectively, I feel like, truly feel like there will be a change that happens. And then one day we'll get to share with you guys. And it'll be beautiful.
And you'll get to meet my grandbabies and my oldest daughter, and we will welcome her. But, you know, sometimes, Melissa, people perceive me as being cold because I didn't break down and I went on the thing after that happened to me.
Well, it was a death.
It really was.
It was a death. It's like, just like a bad breakup. It's a death of your life. You had to keep going or you couldn't save her. And that's what's going to happen. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, if you would have broke down, and for one, your grandchildren, your oldest grandchild especially, is so psychic. They're so intuitive.
Sugar butt.
Yeah, I mean, she really is. You knew that when she got here.
She was. I brought things today.
Because you knew. But they hear us in their soul even when they're not.
Right.
And no matter what happens in life or what happens in death, and I have these conversations a lot with people, you do not break soul connections.
Right.
Say you're married to a man or it's your child and something happens. Say they die. That's not the case. But just in my line of work, that's what comes up a lot. The way that they care about you or once did, that doesn't stop. And you might have 15 different big relationships in your life. But if you truly love someone, you never don't truly love that person. That's why they always say, like, your hardest breakup's the worst. You know, because you don't not ever love them. Because it's a soul thing. And what's happening with Chelsea, this is a soul thing. And she was very much an introvert her whole life. And when she met
with me because she wanted to be, right? Do you remember that?
Yeah, she always wanted to be with you. She stole your
Right.
clothes all the time. Anything that Susie and Mama Chelsea wanted. I mean,
Guess who's scared?
Chelsea. I love it. But I'm just saying it because it's all about soul connection.
Right.
So we know she'll come. Like, we know that in our soul. It just hurts that it's just like when someone crosses over. It hurts us that we're still here because we don't get to pick up the phone and call them every day, or we don't get to see them. But in reality, their souls can hear us. So many times in my readings, I heard you talking to me in the bathroom, and people just break down and cry. Yeah, they heard you, because your soul was talking to them.
Right.
Right now, our soul is talking to Chelsea. Our soul is talking to your grandchildren. So even if they can't hear it, their soul hears it. And I just really find that to be a beautiful thing about the way that this energy works, because it's all energy.
Hey, I want you to bring up the ring that you said her man sports and kind of keeps, you know, if he's got his ring on and he's around him, and it puts up like a little force field.
Oh yeah, he's
like a junior wizard is what I call him.
I told Susie this before she told me what she thought. in conversation. And when I'm talking with Susie, it's not like I'm totally in spirit, like when I'm giving someone else a reading, because this is my life. So I remember it.
Yes.
Or if I'm giving someone else a reading, I don't know what you're talking about. But I knew he wore something on his hand, and it was a stone, and it was putting up a force field of energy. Like I saw it on his hand, I saw him messing with it. But when he's not directly next to her, which he tries to always be right next to her, the energy goes straight to her. But he's gonna do something that's gonna break her trust. And that's when she'll start to get the wrath of the energy, because she's gonna disconnect. And I get the number 6. I don't know if that's 6 years from now, 6 months from now. I get the number 6 a lot. It's a power number, but there's something with the number 6 with her. And he's going to do something to break her trust, and so that force field's going to be dented. And then it'll start to be a rush of the energy coming. And she's growing as a person, because she's got 3 children. You cannot, because you have to live for them. Brings me back to my son. So here I am, 27. I told you I got pregnant just crazily, and I got really happy when I was pregnant with him. I think that it might have been like the most happy part of my life. And even though Mike still had his quirks, I still was happy. And I was really excited for this baby. And I knew he was going to change my life. Like I knew it. And they told me that I actually was pregnant with twins with him. I had, which is for Mike's line of family, because not mine. I carried the whole sack all the way. I didn't realize this because no one told me. All that they said was that there was extra water and they were worried about the baby coming early. They didn't break it down to it's because you're pregnant with twins that they come early. Twins usually come early because I'm sitting down, but I have no other body. I'm all legs. I had nowhere to carry these babies. Right. So I was literally all belly with these babies. But when I went into labor with him, I went to IHOP and was eating pancakes. I sent mine to work. Took Maya to school. Again, didn't go to the hospital when I was supposed to. They're literally following me around when I get there. Well, Mike went to work and they said, "You gotta go. She's having that baby," when he told them what I knew. And I also know that once you get in the bed, you don't get out of bed.
That's the truth.
You're stuck in that bed. So I'm like, I am not. I'm waiting as long as I can wait. So it's found me. They're literally following me around with a wheelchair. And I'm like, get away from me. I'm not sitting in it. I really keep walking. Michael went back up. He didn't want to be born. He had been in position, and I had false labor for over a month, and he was in position. They told me he was coming 2 months early, and he was there, ready to be born. He went back up, didn't want to be born. They broke the other sack of water, and it smelled bad. And then I knew there was decay. Then things made sense because amniotic fluid doesn't smell bad. Now, I might be a little graphic, but I'm a doula.
And believe me, this audience can take
The reality.
visual reality graphics. Yes, they can.
Okay,
Yes.
so I'm a doula. So anyways, let's get back to Micah. So he doesn't want to be born. They basically start forcing me to have him. Back to back. Because at this point, I don't have hardly water left. And they left the other water out. And I've now been laboring since the night before. And baby's back up. He doesn't want to be born. Reality, they probably should give me a C-section. But for some reason, both of the doctors that I had didn't want to give me C-sections. He got stuck on my tailbone. His shoulders, he's so broad. He's built like a man as a baby.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, he is a little warrior. He's got back muscles. It's ridiculous. So he gets stuck. I mean, it was by far the worst thing I've ever been through physically in my body. I always had none of this. I mean, it was traumatic for me.
He's kind of got a big head, so.
He does. But the head's not what got stuck. It was the shoulders.
Right.
Right on my tailbone. So they had given me an epidural. It didn't work.
You know, that's why Joe called him me.
I believe it. He does that. I know. He's growing into it finally. It was, well, not just that, but if you believe in metaphysical, like biocranial,
right?
His whole head got smushed so bad that we've gone through surgeries now with his sinuses. Let me get into that part. So, give birth to Micah. Everything's fine. I had a really long recovery of healing after I had it because it was so traumatic for me. But it was still like this beautiful time in my life, and I really got so metaphysical. And I also knew that I had to go back to school to learn about healing because I took him. I have a great pediatrician, but you have to take your kids to specialists when things are going on with them. I walked in the door, I had a small conversation with me and my grandmother. I took her good cop, bad cop, and we leave. Because I look them in the eyes, and I knew they weren't going to help my son because they were healers. I could feel it in my gut. Dr. Costa, he's a pediatrician. I walked in, me and my grandmother both start crying. I was like, oh my God, it's okay, I'm doing surgery. I go, I know, this needs to happen. I also took him to see a healer friend of mine that does biocranials to get his head back together because it was so misshapen from his traumatic birth. So here, both of my children had these very traumatic stories to get here.
Yeah.
My son, then he was having night terrors starting at like 6 months old. And it was so past life with him. It's really been a traumatic road getting him to health. But it also made me go back to school. And I'm in nursing school now. And
that's how that comes in.
Yes, because I had to heal him. And I've been a healer before, I know this, because I do energy work and touch people, and I said this because I have to touch people when I'm reading.
Right.
And I know that already about myself, but also in my readings, I wanted to sound intelligent when I explain medical things to people that have happened to people that have crossed over. So that's, I decided one day, I'm going to be a doula, and I'm going to go to nursing school, and I have all this other stuff going on. So here I am, going to nursing school. My metaphysical business explodes.
Right.
I get picked up by these girls.
Right.
I don't know where it's heading me.
Right.
But I'm riding this wave. And that brings us to Monday, to the Soul Cave.
Yes, it does. And maybe since you took it back there, instead of waiting for the 10-minute warning, because we had talked about earlier that I wanted to double back to what is going on this week in the world. Now check this out. And this is kind of wild, and let's see if we can find some connects.
Okay, I'm listening.
All right. I was listening to a news report, and I don't want to say the wrong one because there's several I listen to, so I'm going to leave that out and say that starting on Monday the 25th through August the 2nd, there is, and this is, this is just what's going around with people in the know. All right, but there's going to be a massive flipping production where they're going to hire in about 5,000 people to be part of this 9-day false flag with like 50 locations going off in Virginia. They're saying that there's been $570,000 dollars spent so far, and it's some kind of a live action drill. So, okay, here's the rub. All of these terrible tragedies that are going on all over the world. All right. So they want to divide everybody. So some people are saying it's a false flag. Some people are saying, no, it's real. Everything we're seeing is real. The pain is real. The suffering is real. There are really people dying. But who is behind it and what is the reason why it's happening, which is what this movement is about that I've found myself involved in. And so this live action girl stuff, girl, is no different than, like, we've had a few cops go down here in town, and there's been other places across the United States where these things are happening. But the whole point behind this big play production of all these people either dying or pretending like they're dying or acting like they're hurt, it'd be so easy to do this martial law nonsense. And exactly. And in the meantime, they're talking about this is going to be so big that they're going to have all sorts of simulations. They're going to have collapsing structures. They're going to have chemical, biological agent things that go off. They want to overwhelm the hospitals where healers like yourself will be overwhelmed and put into particular situations.
They already are.
So you're already seeing it.
Oh,
Okay. Yeah, it's in Vermont, not West Virginia, I'm sorry. And this has to do with the National Guard and their all of their people being called into this major chaotic thing. So here you don't know what's happening in your life and what's going to happen with the three girls in the dark and salt mine. And, we don't know what's going to happen with the money and the power and the control and this whole nonsense that, okay, poof, because Obama did sign something last week that says whenever the fuck he wants, he can say martial law's on. Okay. All right. So none of us really know what's going to happen. And surely there is this spiritual battle going on and all these things. So it is hot. It's around the globe, different than it is here in St. Louis, 110 degree sweltering.
what happens when people get, when it's hot, they fight?
They get crazy.
Yes, they do.
Right. And then you take away their money and their food. And there's, yeah. So I wanted to bring that up.
My perception on it.
Anything you want.
So let's go back to the last political, not the last election, but the election before last.
Okay.
When the whole world was saying change and Obama and all this is happening.
Right.
And I really don't like to be too political.
Me neither.
But my grandmother is close to 80, and she's very much involved in politics. She listens to both sides, and if you think about it, and this might be getting off topic, but this is what's keeps spinning my head, so I'm just going to go there. We sent all of our industry to China. China mostly owns us. Where are these terrorist attacks not happening? Does anyone see anything going on in China in the news right now?
Wait a second. Now they are putting out a lot of plastic food for everybody to eat.
No, but I'm saying, or is all this turmoil happening there on their soil? I don't see it on the news. Do you?
No, I don't.
In reality of the way that this world is, and I'm going back, let's think about the romance. Let's look at the romance.
Sorry.
What happens when you owe somebody a lot of money? And you keep owing the money and owing the money and owing the money and owing the money. They come and take your shit.
Right.
Just like if your neighbor down the street owes you a bunch of money, you're going to take something of theirs. Because you're going to get mad.
Right.
You have to pay back your debts. Any major civilization since the very beginning of the time, when you start owing somebody money, that's how you get people land.
Oddly enough, China did just buy up some land here in Missouri too.
Yeah, all over little spots. And so since I had this conversation with my grandmother, like I said, going back this will be almost 3 elections. And I said, none of this other stuff matters. It's all trivial and on the surface. Reality of the situation is that when you owe someone so much money, they come take what's yours. So you can be pro-America all you want to be, but if we don't own it, it's not ours anymore. These are all just things, they're materials. And when you have that many people crowded in a space since the beginning of time, what do people do? They take over something else. And I am not super political, so I hope no one's like getting mad about what I'm saying. But I think that's a big part of the basis of like a lot of this. Our government doesn't want us to be friends. Right. And they want to split this black and white thing. Maybe I should say mine is biracial. Like I am not a racist person. I mean, everyone probably has some form of stereotype in their brain, but I grew up in a generation where people love each other. And I went to inner city high school. And I have many friends from every single background. Right. But here, especially in St. Louis, they want to make us not like each other. Yeah. And it's like obvious. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
We grew up with that.
Yeah, you don't go to the other parts of town. Here we are. Right. But going back to what I was saying about China, is that I just believe it's going to be the reality, which I'm okay with shifting realities. But I think that many people that are here, especially in this country, especially in Middle Eastern countries, have a very hard time shifting their reality. And right now, we have these terrorist attacks, but it's also terrorism on a smaller scale to each other. And, and so they just put the big attacks, the big things on the news. But I mean, we live in a crazy city. Yeah, we do. We live in a city where the murder numbers are, in the almost to the 200s by the end of the year. I have several friends that are high-ranking police officers, and what they have to deal with, they can't even put their minds around terrorist attacks because they're living in a terrorist situation on a daily basis.
Yeah. Can I tell you something about that?
Yeah, sure.
So I don't know. I mean, because we haven't gotten to your childhood yet. We have 20 minutes. So let's keep all that in mind, all right? Did you know my dad was a cop?
Yes, you told me that before.
All right. And so what I did today for the show, because, I love to redecorate. I have all my little arrangements.
Yeah, me too.
Right. I brought in all the things they resonate with, all the things that my loved ones that are on the other side connected with. Well, beautiful. Here's my dad with us right here.
Oh.
Yeah, there's Larry. And here's his smokes. And here's his ashtray. My dad was cremated and he stays with us here at the Big Yellow House. But believe it or not, he contacted Joe. And Joe's very spiritual and very psychic and all that, right? Yeah. And he was telling Joe that he's so glad that he's not here because he doesn't understand what's going on.
No, I believe that.
Right. He's so lost with it all. So I want to talk about your childhood, but I know you're starting to tap into all this stuff too.
I won't. I'll look straight.
All right. All right, we'll save that for the end. So I really like asking, as you know, because I did it to you before, about childhood stories. And I mean, as far as like myself goes, the first time that I heard that some witches had put a curse on me, I was like 17. So we hear all the time now about these dark forces that try to attack us, and yada, yada, yada. But I like to talk to people about how to protect themselves from things like that. And surely, when I was a child, that wasn't at the forefront of my experience to know how I protected myself. That was divine grace. That was God taking care of me.
Well, and children have angels too.
Absolutely. So I know on your little video that you did share a story from your early childhood, but is there anything that Spirit is wanting you to talk about that would have been from your younger years that gave you that confirmation of Spirit that you know that you are in the right place here and now, and this whole thing you knew long before it ever happened?
So a big part of me knowing is my brother Tony.
Okay.
My brother Tony, he actually was a big girls in charge. We're only 15 months apart. My mom said I was taking care of him when I was 15 months old. She had to keep me away from him. I named him. I didn't even know anyone with the name Tony, and I named him. And so I have been grown up since I was, little. My mom said I made all the beds in the house at 2 years old. That's who I am.
And you have an older sister.
I have an older sister. I have an older sister and 3 younger brothers. But Tony and I are only 2 months apart.
Okay, and I met your sister with Candace.
Yes.
Right. Go ahead.
But so when you think about my childhood, a lot of it is me and Tony. Because we were almost Irish twins. Really close in age.
Like Sugar Butt and Bobo.
Yeah. It's so I can almost make train of thought.
I'm sorry.
No. It's okay. I was just, there was a lot of turmoil when I was growing up.
Yes.
There was a lot of turmoil in our home. Both of my parents were dealing with a lot of their own stuff.
Right.
They were pretty young.
Right.
But I guess I'm blessed because I never felt like I wasn't loved. Even though there was all this crap going on, and my mom is also a medium, so I was also blessed because it was never taboo, and it was never something I couldn't go talk to her about. In fact, I always was in the middle of every conversation. Any spiritual woman at the house, I was right there, and I listened to everything and soak it all in.
And it didn't scare you.
Never.
Right.
But I was haunted by things. I grew up in a house with my grandmother where there was a shadow man, and he was a shapeshifter, and he would call on different people's names. He would get near me, and there was a creepy woman in the bathtub. But there were a lot of people in my family dealing with addiction, dealing with psychological problems. So they had their own stuff that I could see and feel too. I didn't feel like I wasn't safe, but I knew things were there. And I'm really honest, I couldn't cast it out till I went back to my grandmother's house recently. She got ill. I finally got it out of the house. There's still an old man in the basement that's scared to leave because that thing had trapped him down there so long. And because that's what I'm saying, I need a shaman because it's so common in this area. These dark, negative, I call them shadow men because that's what it looks like to me. Because they take different forms. Now, I do see other things that are darker. I do not communicate with them because it lowers my vibration.
Right. Right.
But I also know how to deal with it.
Is there anything that you could share with our audience that might be helpful for them?
To protect themselves?
Yes. Yes.
This work does not work unless you believe that there's something bigger than you. You cannot help heal people unless you believe that you are the small, I am the antenna. This is not my information to give. This information is given to me by something bigger than me. You have to know that you're loved and that you're protected. I don't care what religion you follow, what you believe, that matters. You cannot. I was raised by religious women. They call on Jesus. So that's just instilled in me that I'll say the name of Jesus, you're going to have to back up right now.
Right.
Or I can hear you, I'm not listening, you're going to have to fall back. And then I envision myself surrounded in white light, and then I push things away from me.
Nice.
And then I create a barrier,
Right.
and sometimes I gotta seal them.
Right.
Sometimes they go away. Sometimes they flee. Sometimes when I cast it out of my house, I don't use the names. Even sometimes I've given them, because when you call someone by their name, you give them power. So that's also a big thing. So these people who use the terms, they don't even realize what they're doing. They're projecting that energy. So I very much have to stay in a good place in my life because I constantly have to do that. Especially these girls take me to some places that it's like I'm walking in a bad dream. Because I see all these imprints of things that have happened or what's actually happening. And it's some scary stuff sometimes where we go.
Right. You've been to the penitentiary.
I don't ever go back there again. I can tell you that much. That was a horrible experience for me. Ooh. It was literally like being a bad dream. And those things that we did not mention, I saw about 5 different types of them there. It's not a good place to be. Very unsettling. But going on to protecting yourself and just really, these things might scare you, but if you know, I get frightened sometimes. I'm human. Something wakes you up at night, or you see something out of the darkness. Oh, I'm jumping. People just jump at me.
And it would go on in your waking hours too, where these little things come up.
Oh, the
and you
waking hour
say,
at 3 in the morning. Oh yeah.
You know it.
Oh yeah. And any child. Actually, I really think that the reason Spirit's waking us up is not because of the protection for me so much. It's because psychic children are drawn to me. Children do not think I'm their friend. Children know that I'm Mama. I always have extra kids with me.
Right.
Kids can't talk and they give me stuff. Kids like lay on me when they want to go to sleep. They listen to me. They know I'm a Mama. You know, some people, there's that line, they know where I stand, but they always still want to be always with me. They want to go places with me, even when I'm crabby, extra kids with me. But this big concentration of psychic children have been coming to me, and I know that my work eventually will shift to me helping children. And I have a group of women who are also part of it, and I know that they're part of it, and we've had these conversations because I think I'm going to be doing some sort of workshops just to tell kids ways to protect themselves, because of these indigo children, these special psychic children, it's such an abundance right now that they need people to guide them.
That's very exciting. It really is. And they say what us light workers are going to do is we're going to help alleviate the suffering, work on the healing, and provide information, and be wise women.
I'm working on it. It's all one day at a time, right?
Right. All right. Now we're down to our 10-minute mark. So I would like you to tell people where they can find you on social media if they would like to hear more about the energy work you do, flying out new properties for purchase, different things like that. And then I want you to take your super brain and I want you to remember from that thing it carries. And I kept trying to tell you that I don't have any blood family because first off, they were all murdered off.
No, I don't know if I remember.
Well,
I'll just tap into it.
okay,
I
so
will.
anyhow,
The mystery one that was there? Yeah.
lipstick and piece and it's trying to
Smoke
tell you,
cigarettes.
right.
She said I like to have a cocktail.
Yes, too much information. I'm trying to give you the specifics. So I didn't have any hands, but this would technically be a great ad. It's like, Suze, shut the fuck up. Too much information.
Did you figure it out?
Well, I just want to show you who she is.
Oh.
She is the one that is sitting next to the boy. So you
Oh,
see
yeah,
she's
oh,
taller.
yeah, I see her.
Now, Graham has the pigtails.
Okay.
And Aunt Edna.
Oh, I've been
looks
looking at
like
her.
Lauren.
Oh, yeah, she does. Wow.
Okay, that's his whole
Oh my
hair.
gosh, that's like her twin.
And then we have Uncle Hal and his wife Aunt Florence. Yeah, so we got 7 minutes left for you to tell everybody where you are.
Okay.
And if you want to bring in a message from anybody on the show.
Yeah, sounds good. So I recently got a website going. It's Melissa Melissa P. Holloway. There's like a million MelissaHolloways.com. And you can find me there. And Facebook, social media outlets. You can always find me through 3 Girls in the Dark. Right. And it's the number 3 girls in the dark. You have to put the number and not like write it out. But they're really cool people, and even if you don't feel it for me, you should look into them because they're really entertaining and nothing else. They make me laugh constantly.
Right, I know you guys have a lot of fun and you're doing
Big
things, and you're all very strong spiritual warriors, so rock on.
Thank you. Right back at you.
Right.
So I hear Joe.
He's here.
There's a woman here for Joe.
Joe! Somehow I knew somebody be coming through for you instead of me. Melissa says there's a woman here that's with you. Do you want to come here for the end of the show?
It's all right. If not, I'll just tell you about it when we're done. It's because there's a Native American woman that's a higher vibration spirit guide that's been around you extremely strong today. Whatever you've been doing, like this spiritual Native American woman is like stuck on you today. What were you doing all day? Just working? Do you get in your zone when you're working? I don't know, this woman that's like, if she's a relative, it's been a long time. She's got like feathers on her hair.
His dad's mom was Indian, and he loves his grandma. That's who we took the drive up when she passed, and actually had a conversation with Joe's dad because Joe has a very big story himself, but he tries to stay incognito.
Joe, okay, I get all that, but that's not spiritual says. This woman is higher vibration. She's like a guide to you. And because her hair is down, it's parted in the middle, and she literally has like feathers into her hair like this, and it's long. And she, this is like a higher vibration reading for you. This is guide stuff. She really is, she's helping you with your healing and your intention, what you're doing to seal things, the stuff that you're making. She's like making it happen in your hands with your intention.
No, you're
and giving you the ideas.
No.
Her name begins with an E. I don't know. And it's a longer name. I couldn't even pronounce it if I wanted to. But this woman, she might be from your bloodline, but she's been with you since you've been born. Like I would say she might be like your great grandmother. Someone. I'm just saying she like brought you here. She brought your soul into this world. And she's so like, I mean, she's your guide. When you're doing your work with your hands, it's like it's her hands. She made stuff. She's telling me she's here like crushing up herbs, but then she's also like tapestries. Like she makes stuff with her hands. She's gifted. And she's just saying that like she, you know, when you're born, how spirit bestows a gift on you when they bring you, that was like her gift for you. And she's really beautiful woman. Very gorgeous face.
He is the man with magic hands. I mean, I hate to sound cheeseball, but you know, Joe is so artistic.
She's pretty. It's probably on my ancestry, direct ancestry. Yeah, I look like man.
Well, she's a guide to you.
My great grandma.
She's beautiful. She's very beautiful. So even if you don't think, but she looks like she's 20 years old to me. No wrinkles in her face, so that's probably not how she looked at the end of her life, but that's how she looks to me. So thank you for letting me tell you that.
No, wait, this is his grandmother.
She's pretty. Why do you think she wasn't pretty?
She had the Native American masculine figures, like all the. My great grandmother was really,
Let me show you.
really masculine. But it was, it was of their native. I mean,
but that might have been. She might not have looked that strong when she was young woman.
my great grandmother, you could tell.
That's Joe's grandma, guys.
Well, this woman I think brought you to this earth.
All right,
Now she had several sisters that loved me.
let's get off camera and do this, and I'm gonna close out the show.
Okay.
All right. So, guys, I hope you enjoyed that today, and I do look forward to being with you again next week. I'm hoping that I have a big movie pulled off to show you, but we'll just have to see what Spirit brings us on that kind of girl.
I love it.
And I so appreciate
Oh,
you.
I love you. What a special day.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for having me.
Peace, love, and light from the Big Yellow House, guys. And let's all come together and make this happen. Peace out.
Peace.
Oh, Melissa, you're awesome. Oh, yeah.